The fundamental problem with Magic the Gathering as a hobby is that a large portion of us actually just fall into a very problematic stereotype. No, it's not the stereotype portrayed in this image. I'm not going to bring much more context to this. You can look up the situation. It was a very problematic one at its time, but it's one where even if you ask your friends, family, or your parents what a quintessential Magic the Gathering player or TCG player in general looks like, they might describe someone in this image, which is problematic in its own way, but I think has evolved in a very more malicious way in current times. I think it's one of someone that doesn't communicate well, doesn't work well with other people, and doesn't work to the collective of the community. They don't work to better their environment, they work towards themselves, and that might just be a symptom of the times where a lot of people are divided, and the very common red herring of people saying, oh, you just can't say anything these days, everyone gets mad. Well, say it then, because a large majority of people don't understand that what they were saying or what they want to say is just dumb and probably very harmful anyway. So they haven't faced that themselves. They haven't done the work, but hey, I'm no one's therapist here. I got an opinion and I want to speak in, and we're going to go over two things today. A tweet by MTG Nerd Girl that actually recently came up very timely to the topic of this video, and as well a video that I want to go over going over some of these stereotypes and what I believe to be the fundamental problem with Magic players, and how we can, as people that are watching this video and maybe go out and communicate and interact with Magic players more, you know, you're more enfranchised in the game if you're watching this content, but also what the root of MTG Nerd Girl's tweet kind of means, or my interpretation of it. I can't speak for her, but regardless, let's go into what it means to be a Magic player in a social environment. Nerd Girl says, does anyone else not like playing Commander with random people? For me, it's like playing a board game. It's social and fun, but I have to like the people I'm playing with to enjoy the game. I don't like that many people. Yo, feels. To be clear, I will play with new people I meet. I just don't know. I just like to know I want to sit down and hang out with the person before deciding to play. I never scout the look for the LFM tables or have judges set up games. I never want to play that badly. And I think that means something to a certain extent. And also giving context to the fact that MTG Nerd Girl probably on average gets a lot of games of Commander in, recording for their content and just playing other games in general. So on a surface level, just being selective about the games you're playing is fair too. I myself don't get more than 2 to 3 games of Commander in a week because of the amount of constructed that I play, also alongside the amount of One Piece TCG, as well as the new Four Emperors format that I'm pushing. I play a lot of TCGs. I got to spread myself out. And so when it comes to being selective, you want to play with the people that are generally good mannered, aren't there to just salt off because you turn one soul ringed, and are just having a bad day and aren't able to self-regulate. Because at the end of the day, when someone just goes too far, it's not your job to, take care of that person in terms of them just being a stranger, but it also is on your part at the beginning of the game, at least doing your honest best to create a welcoming environment. That doesn't mean making the bad play necessarily. I think I made that statement earlier and a lot of people misunderstood it and just don't get it to this day, which is fine. I may make it later, but regardless, it's your job to be welcoming. It is. And I think a lot of people are mad at that. They feel like they owe someone something. You do owe the community something. And I think a lot of people fundamentally don't understand that. That to better the collective of the people around you, to create a better environment, you need to be the person that you want to see across the table. You need to be that better person. And so when it comes to something like this, MTG Nerd Girl, I imagine, I've never actually interacted with them, but through their content and through some of the people that they work with, I can imagine they're a great person. And so they want to work with like-minded people, but also in that same light, I myself come to this situation where I've come across plenty of Commander players in Discords, in kind of live games where I've not jived with. They are maybe sometimes a little too sarcastic for my like, or they're a little too moody, as I'll say. And then those are the people that are like, oh, this is who I am, I can't change. That's loser mentality. You just admitted to yourself that you're you admitted to everyone and to me that you're a crappy person and you will never look to improve yourself. I don't want to be around people like that. That's just loser mentality. And those type of people are unfortunate. They are around everywhere. I find that in bigger cities, I myself, being in the Toronto area, I tend to come across a larger variety of people. And I find that in these larger cities, there tends to be a lot more goodwill because a lot of these people maybe travel around a lot more. They go around to different LGSs. They have bigger play groups. And so just a larger majority of opinions. It's hard for you to just be that bad egg because it feels like you get seen by more people, which I think is a good thing. But in smaller towns where, in smaller cities where people aren't as varied, I think this is where this problem comes to be where, they want the game to be social and fun, but you just end up playing with like rude people. And I think Nerd Girl is saying the thing that needs to be said without saying it out loud, that there are crappy people in the environment. And it's not just about how much deodorant you're putting on or how you smell or whatever. It's not just about your attitude, but it's also about how you act in that game based on, what's happening. And you know what? It's not to say that you can't have bad moments. You are allowed to have bad moments. But when you take it too far, it leads to so many negative consequences that even if you just leave it be and come back and cool off, if you don't even address it the situation after, like maybe you take a second to cool off and you come back. If you don't apologize for that situation, it can be really bad too. It can lead to a lot of bad experiences for new players, existing players, and just turn them away. I have chosen to not play with people and interact with people because of one-time interactions, because you know what? I have so many opportunities to work with other people. I don't want to play with those people. If I see a pod flying with a certain person, I will probably opt to not play with that person if I've had a bad experience with them recently. I'll give them some time. And if I play with them again and they're still just that bad, I won't do it again. I don't care, right? Like I have so many people that I can interact with in a bigger city that I have so many ways to play online. I have like a spell table set up. I just don't care. I don't want to interact with these people. And I've done better with folks after giving them a second or third chance. And I'm happy that I do that for myself. But I think in this video that I want to look at coming up, this tweet, the underlying part of it might be said out loud a bit more. The negative stereotype that's holding back MTG. And I feel like I saw the thumbnail of this video and I knew it was going to be good. I put it in my watch later and I wanted to look into it. I imagine it's probably like a personal anecdotal story, but I'm hoping that we can also address not just like physical characteristics of Magic players, but also some of the lack of emotional regulation that they have, the lack of communication skills, and how honestly the Commander format does help that in many ways. I've come across, like, honestly for me, in constructed Magic, I've come across some real crappy constructed Magic players, but I feel like with the vast majority of my experience being positive, I feel like that's only true because I am in a bigger city. Like when I go to face-to-face games, Toronto, I know that on average, I'm going to have a good experience, but that's because some of the store folks there recognize me, and I've gone there for on and off for like the past like 10 years almost at this point. So a lot of the folks there that are regulars like kind of recognize me, and also through making content and everything. So I have that personal bias for myself. But I know that in these larger cities where people tend to go to different stores and everything, the folks tend to be like better minded. On average, I feel like regardless, I've still had better interactions playing Commander. I feel like the people, when it comes to constructed Magic, they'll be like, oh, I'm zoned in, I'm in my head. Like they just become worse people. Like some people just need to calm down. I feel like, we should be goal setting. We should be working on improving ourselves, and there's ways to do that. But when you're just like being standoffish and your excuse is I am who I am, I'm sorry, that's just like not good enough. I think people just use baseline excuses to not be a better person. I'm sorry, that's just the truth of the matter, right? Like everyone can approve, and then they'll say something jaded like, oh, other people aren't like that for me. Like, okay, all right, you know that's not a good excuse. Let's play the
Guys,
video.
it is time to talk about the stereotype that is holding Magic the Gathering back. Now, this is a video that I've wanted to make for a while, but I've held back because I know, it's very controversial. It's going to upset some people. But a recent experience of mine has really just pushed me over the edge to make this video. It's something that I am quite passionate about. And, I want to talk about it and just let the cards fall as they may. And, if you guys hate me, then it is what it is. Okay. So I'm going to start by telling my little story. So recently, me and my sister went to a new LGS because we wanted to expand our play group. This one was close to hers because
new LGSs are tough. Like, especially for myself, like in general, the new LGSs I've been to sometimes are like newer ones. I think like even some of the ones I've been to in Toronto, the more recent one, shout out to Nerdvana Games of Markham, Ontario. Like they're doing the most in the best ways possible. If you're in the Toronto area, go check out Nerdvana Games. They're not sponsored at all. They're just a great group of folks. Their Discord's amazing. It's just a great little small community that's growing. I love that shop. I've even been to like Sunny Hobbies and stuff, and they're not maybe Magic oriented, but they are great for like the One Piece scene. I think the owner is great. They fall into some controversy when it comes to like supply and stuff like that. Not something I'm directly related to, but I don't know. Maybe it is something bad, but regardless, I feel like I've had good experiences when it comes to going to new LGSs. But I don't know, especially when it comes to Sunny Hobbies. The AC situation isn't great when it comes to like playing in the summer and whatnot, but I mean, maybe just that's just the location. Not everywhere can be. Again, Nerdvana Games, they got that on lock. It is crispy in there, like nice. And even Face to Face Games has like a sweet environment in there. They have great washrooms too, by the way. Shout out to any LGS with more than 2 washrooms that are clean. You're a 10 out of 10.
Usually when I go to an LGS, it's one near me. She doesn't have access to it. Okay. So it's just how it is. She was getting a bit disappointed with not being able to play sometimes. So I said, hey, let's try out an LGS near you. There was only one really that was an option. So yeah, we went down there last weekend to check it out, and this was our experience. So we walked into this little shop. We told them that we've come here for the Commander Day. They basically told us to scan the QR code for Companion and then showed us downstairs where it was like this little like basement room. We walked down there, and in the room there was about 7, I think, yeah, or maybe no, 6 people that were in this room. And okay, I'll just say it right now. Every single person in this room fit into the negative stereotypes that you would think of when it comes to a Magic the Gathering player. Okay. You know, when we walked in, they all looked at us. Only one made the effort to actually talk to us and welcome us, and I do really, really appreciate him for that. But overall, when I walked into this room, I did not ultimately feel welcome. I feel like part of this is also on the store owner too. Like I remember, so one of the stores I had when I was downtown, this is now like a pretty big retro video game store. They run like fighting game locals. They sell a lot of retro video games. They're on like College and Spadina. I'm forgetting the name of the store, but they used to have a store higher up that was like a basement store. You walked in, it was a small little entrance, and the store was in the basement. And honestly, the folks there were great people. The owners are great, and they actually expanded to much more. They're one of the bigger stores downtown, but it's not just primarily Magic. They run other TCGs and everything, but they have like a great primary business, but they really evolved past that. But when we were in the basement experience, that's when I first went to go play Magic. That was like truly like, I remember walking in with my girlfriend, now wife at the time, when they were at that setup, and she was like looking at me like, wow, this is some nerd crap. Like, what is this? And thankfully I was a cool guy at the time. So, hey, she's my wife now. So, you know what? She's stuck with the nerd stuff. But regardless, there were some issues with that store. When you walk in there, there are some smells and lack of like cleanliness and everything. But in general, my experience there was kind of like not too bad, because the store owners were able to kind of introduce me and bring me in. Some of the folks were actually really nice as well, so that was a bonus. But the store owner kind of brought me in. They're like, oh, this is your first time playing Magic, like, okay, like this is this is how you build a deck, sit down with this, here are the type of folks that you can play with. They even pointed out some folks are like, hey, like this is a new player, do you want to sit down with them? And so that I was able to kind of openly kind of introduce myself that way. So I feel like it shouldn't just be on the players. The store owners should be also part of this experience for them, to introduce them. So it doesn't sound like they down did that. And we started playing a game. The guy that we was playing with was nice enough, but again, he was extremely quiet. It was very quite hard to hear him when he spoke. Again, just a lot of the negative stereotypes that. I have a friend of mine, and if he's probably not watching this video, he's definitely not. But oh my God bless his soul. He's so much better with it now. But my man did not have an outdoor voice. I used to drive a 2002 Dodge Caravan, and this was almost like a decade ago. And that car was like, at the time, literally, my family bought it 2002. They bought it.
decade ago. It was still running, and my man could not speak over the sound of the engine of the car. He had such an indoor voice. Oh my God. Every day, I feel like I trained my ears just to listen to him. Oh my God. He's so much better now.
You would assume with these Magic players. And it was not nice. I did not feel comfortable in this environment. And, you know, even though I love playing Magic, so I still had a relatively good time because I'm always having fun when I'm playing Magic. When I left, I had no desire to go back there. And I don't think that I'm the only person that has ever walked into that store and felt that. And that made me reflect on two things. One, why does Magic the Gathering attract this kind of player? And two, is this stereotype holding Magic back? So let's talk about these things. So first, let's talk about the negative stereotype of a Magic the Gathering player. I mean, you guys don't really need me to point this out. You guys know, right? Bad hygiene, badly dressed, socially awkward, probably don't have much social interaction going on outside of the game. Even quite gatekeepy, you know, like because they're...
I think there's a couple things here, like, okay, so badly dressed has a couple of layers. Like, okay, I think, you know, some people just come to Magic, they're just there to vibe. Like, you don't need to wear a polo. You can put on a gym shirt and some sweats and just head to the LGS. It's fine. Like, as long as it's like laundry clean, like you didn't just come from the gym, because that comes into hygiene. Don't be coming to FNM if you ain't showered. Don't be doing that. That's dirt. It doesn't matter. Okay, if you cannot clean yourself and keep to your own personal hygiene and live to a standard that is good enough for yourself, because ain't no way it's good enough for yourself to be dirty, do not come to FNM. Paying hundreds of thousands of dollars for Magic cards and expensive Black Lotuses and one rings is not in the books for you. You need to focus. You need to focus on the shower first. Okay. If you got the hygiene on lock, again, you don't need to be wearing polos and dress shirts, right? Like, I don't think that's a thing, but for some people, especially when it comes to like maybe going to a GP or something, I myself feel this way sometimes as well. When it comes to like higher level events, and the rare event that I do go to them, you know, look good, feel good. Like, I'll put on, I might put on like one of my favorite sweaters and like a pair of pants and like, well, maybe not a pair of pants, but like just something comfortable, like a comfortable pair of sweats, like a comfortable pair of chinos, not like jeans. I don't feel comfortable in jeans, but like I will put on something comfortable, but that also look nice because I want to go in feeling confident. And so some people like that, you just don't need to do that. But I don't know, like wash your hair, like comb it down or something, right? Some basic hygiene effects. And I think this comes down to a societal thing. Like, a lot of people's fathers are just not teaching their young boys to do any of this. And I'm saying fathers and boys because the vast majority of Magic players are men. When it comes to the women in this game, honestly, and they may exist out there, but the women in this game, I have generally come across to be like actually great people, well groomed, and just nice to be around. Like, again, there could be the negative stereotype around women. This is my personal experience, but a large portion of male Magic the Gathering players that I've met fit the stereotype. You know, they don't keep themselves, and they don't, like, I don't know, like they just don't keep up their hygiene or their personal looks, or they just don't speak well. But the women I've encountered are actually pretty nice. They're great people. But when it comes to hygiene, I think that's the number one thing. Don't be coming to FNM if you smell. And then someone in the comments is going to get mad at me and be like, oh, what if you have a smell issue? That's something else. Don't bean soup me. Okay, don't give me the niche example, the one of one. Oh, I have this problem. You're being no. I'm talking about the majority. Be honest. Have an honest conversation with me. I'm not talking about you. You're an exception. Okay, there's people out there who sweat and smell like fish. That's a disorder. That's something different. No amount of scrubbing is gonna help that. That's something different. I'm talking about the people that could just use some Dove soap. It's literally, it's literally on sale at your local grocery store, dollar store, whatever, the vast majority of the time. Just it doesn't need to be disinfectant soap. Sometimes you just need some Irish Spring. Make yourself smell a little bit better.
Maybe suffering in other aspects of their life, they feel like they can sort of, you know, bring their superiority of their knowledge of Magic over new players, and that makes them feel good in some sort of...
Okay, so this is another thing, right? So this is a two-sided thing. So people can sometimes use Magic as like an escape. This is like a better situation, a better place for them. Where I will counter that is it still starts from the bottom up. You will not feel better. I promise you. I like on everything. You will feel better if you shower and put on some deodorant and wash your hair and come to F&M than if you didn't do that and come to F&M. I'm just saying. Okay. And if you're talking about my job prevents me from doing this, I need a little bit of happiness in my life. There are deeper issues. You got deeper issues. You shouldn't be spending money on Magic cards. Magic is getting more expensive by the day, which is a constant critique that I have of the game. I'm not going to shy away from saying that. All right. But you should not be spending money on foils and premium boosters if you don't have the time to shower. It's a luxury hobby. You should be taking care of yourself first. Okay. And maybe this is me gatekeeping, but I'm looking out for y'all. I need you to take care of yourself before you come to these environments and you come up with situations like this. Be a better person for your community. Work towards the community. Okay. It also doesn't even work towards the community or yourself to, again, just be bad in terms of personal hygiene. Now, when it comes to being a bad person, these people are just evil people. Like they need a goddamn therapist. They need to go fix their lives. Like maybe someone passed away or someone yelled at them. Like their boss is a terrible person. They need to work through this. You need to find a new job. You need to find a new situation. You need to work through it. If it's a personal grievance, maybe something upsetting happened in your life, or you're just experiencing a lot of stress at work or with a family member, you need to work through that situation before you bring that onto other people, because that is unfair and that's a terrible thing to do. That is a terrible thing to do. You don't get to, like, for example, if you were to yell at your parent or your spouse because you had a bad day of work, it might happen, but does it justify it? No, it's a terrible thing to do. That's a bad thing to do. It can happen, but it's still bad. You don't get a pass. You get to do it, but you then get to reap the consequences of what you did, because you still have to then be able to self-regulate and have that conversation and be able to fix yourself. A lot of people think that just because this person is a stranger, they can do that to them. And a lot of people have weird superiority complexes. A lot of people come home and have bad interactions with their spouse or their family member or their friends. But then when they go at work to their boss, they grovel and cower in fear. When, for example, the boss should be catching the licks. You should cuss out your boss, but you come home and you cuss out your kids. Or you come home and you cuss out your commander pod. Come on, folks, look at the optics of the situation. Work through your life.
It sounds horrible, but I have ran into these players, I'm sure you guys have as well, where, they can't wait to make a little comment every time something happens to like show their knowledge of the game and like critiquing you when you're doing stuff. And you just want to, it's bloody annoying. And it's just like, guy, I get it. You're insecure. Just shut the hell up. Yeah. And whether we like it or not, these negative stereotypes push players away. Okay. I can think of another experience where I was with my girlfriend at the time. We walked into a game store, right? I wasn't going in there to play, but I was in the area and I wanted to just go and have a little look. And I was with her at the time doing some other unrelated stuff.
I mean, honestly, face-to-face games Toronto, shout out to them. In the summers, they got ice cream. If we're in the area, I'll be like, yo, let me go check out some Magic cards or check something out, their display case. I'll buy you some ice cream. It's great. You just vibe. You just go vibe at the LGS. And hey, they got great washrooms. I'll buy an ice cream, check out some Magic cards, use the washroom, pop out, continue on our day. Great store.
I walked in there. We was in there for about 5 minutes, and immediately she's like sitting there gagging. She's like, oh my God, what is that smell? Do you know what I mean? And like, that just made me like, I'm not the one that stinks, right? But I just felt this unreal amount of shame, and that shouldn't be the case, but I did, because at the end of the day, like, I'm bringing her into a store that is for like this hobby that I play, and these are the people that are playing this hobby. And like, is that a reflection on who I am as a person? Because I am sort of...
And sometimes it is. And as a man, I'm going to point this out, because this also happened at Face-to-Face Games Toronto. This was a story that my wife always likes to bring up now in haha, but back then it was really a problem. And I felt bad about this for her, where in Face-to-Face Games Toronto, in their older location than they are now, they're like higher up on the Danforth, but They were on a second floor. It was like a pretty big shop, honestly, for its location, but it had one washroom. And it was a night when Modern was happening at the same time. And so I was playing, but then also a Star Wars tournament was happening. So like it was like the ships, Star Wars X-Wing, was that what it was? I played it at a time, but it was the one with the ships and you had like the ruler stuff. I don't know, whatever. It's a miniature game, right? And we had this gentleman, bigger gentleman, a man, okay? Went into the bathroom, peed up the whole place, came back out. Who knows if he washed his hands or not? What a prick. And then my wife went in after and she comes out. She's like, I want to leave. I'm like, what's going on? She's like, that man came out of that washroom and peed all over the place and didn't even wipe it up. And I walk in, I'm like, wait, what are you talking about? Peed all over the place, right? That's a problem, right? So I walk in. Nah, this man actually peed all over the toilet seat and left. Went back to go play his game. That's disgusting. If you are this type of person, you're a loser and you deserve to get called out. And my wife went up to him and called him out and said, if you don't go back in there and clean this up, I'm going to the owners. And honestly, I told her we should just go to the owners. And this happened at face-to-face games. And you know what? They're better with it now. Face-to-face games, every time I walk in that washroom, in my personal experience, it is clean. There's 3 of them. It always smells good. It is stocked up. And they take care right now. Back then, maybe they were overstaffed. It was a full store. And this was like a momentary interaction. Like the store owner didn't get to go in, or the folks there didn't get to go in and clean it up in the middle. Like my wife went in after. And so these are the type of people that we need to reflect on in ourselves and be able to call out. As a man, I need to do better in so many ways in my life, but also be able to call out other men for being like this, for going in and acting like forget the whole toilet lid seat up and down. Why are you peeing all over the place and not even cleaning it up? That's disgusting. Right? Not only was this person definitely what a lot of people would consider the stereotype of what a Magic player looks like, but they peed all over the scene. These are just genuine stories that happen. And of course, to relate to this person here in the video, you feel negatively reflected on yourself because I'm bringing my then girlfriend at the time into a store and kind of showcasing what what my friends or people I interacted with could be like. Like, I didn't know that person. But these are the circles I hang in with. What does that show to me about me and the hobbies I have and the people I interact with? It only reinforces these stereotypes because other people in the room look similar to them. Hair, body, smell, whatever. Your stereotypes go. You can't help a stereotype. And you got to work through those yourself, but you can't help when you have this negative stereotype to then further this experience. It's a tough thing to work through, but especially in my wife's case, I don't even blame her. Right? It's tough.
Of, these people are sort of my people, if that makes sense.
Right.
It's not nice. And, I couldn't wait to get her out of there and almost had to feel like, almost the need to apologize. I didn't apologize, I don't think, but I was just sort of like, yeah, it's really unfortunate, but that is kind of, for some reason, these kind of people are attracted to this game. And now there is no doubt that this stereotype is stopping the game from growing, right? I can imagine that there are so many people out there that have felt like they've got curiosity for Magic.
Right.
They've walked into an LGS and they have just immediately been hit by this wave, this atmosphere, this vibe, right? And everything in their brain is telling them like, you don't.
And part of that is the LGS owners, right? And so it's the environment that they curate. It's the people that they allow into their store to do whatever they want. And they allowing bullies and people to just like take over certain environments. And it's really unfortunate. It starts there. It's not just the player base. And sometimes you can't control people, but also some blame needs to go at store owners for proliferating these environments. And also in many cases being the bad faith actors themselves. And with Universes Beyond bringing in so many new people day after day that you need to, like, this is a problem we need to pay attention to more and more as new people onboard onto the game.
This is weird. This is not a pleasant place to be. You not really feel welcome. And then those people, they will not come back, because that is their experience of the LGS,
Right.
And then that becomes, their perspective of Magic the Gathering and what the game is and the sort of people that play it. And I'll just be honest, guys, that upsets me. Now, this isn't about shaming individuals, right? But if we want Magic to grow, then we need to make this game more inviting. So that leads me to the question of, how do we fix this? Okay, so first things first, I think LGSs should have like welcome nights, you know, should have events specifically. Some
LGS do, and Magic does good with this. In
these events, more established players should have the opportunity to, you know, come and help new players if they want to expand their community, their game. These people naturally are probably going to be, you know, have better social skills, because they want to interact with people, they want to, you know, help new players. Hopefully this doesn't attract people that just want to prey on new players. I think you might get the odd one, but I don't think that would be the priority, right? I think it would be people that genuinely want to bring more people into this hobby, so they are going to be more pleasant. So I think that would be really, really good, because then people can go to an LGS, they know that they're going to be playing with people that are around their level, right? I think of like when I dance, right? So if you guys wouldn't know this, but I've done like a lot of like partner dancing, specifically bachata in the past. And when I used to dance, what would happen is that you go there and then all of the dancers get split into levels of experience, right? Okay, so you're not dancing with people that are just crazy out of your experience, so that those those dancers are not getting bored, and you're dancing with people around your level. You're not too intimidated, and it feels nice, you know? And I think that should be the same thing for Magic. There should be an environment where new players can play with other new players, and they don't have to worry about being judged by.
And that's what the bracket system tries to do in Magic the Gathering. It's so hard to, like, even the bracket system has its flaws, but I think like a lot of the time when I hear from other content creators talk about how they've had like just as many negative experiences with the bracket system, or just experienced worse, I feel like that's kind of disingenuous, because I think we're blaming the bracket system for a problem that's always been there. To me, the power 10 scale in Commander was one of the worst things ever. It just exacerbated people's ability to not communicate without any guidelines whatsoever. And the bracket system attempts to put guidelines onto something that I feel like actually do that really well. And that whole disingenuous conversation of like, my CDH deck is actually technically a bracket 4 deck. How does that, like, no, stop. Like you're just being disingenuous by using extreme examples. Yes, there are bracket 3 decks that can work with, you know, can boogie with bracket 4 decks. There are bracket 4 decks that can boogie with CDH decks. Yes, sure, 100%. But that's not the point of them, because the definition of these decks are so much better defined than other decks, or other times in Commander's history, right? A bracket 2 and a bracket 1 is so much more better defined than it was in previous times, where ain't nobody had a 1 or 2. Nobody, like less than 10% of the Commander population had 1s and 2s. But it's a lot more now that I feel like, because it's defined now. People are consciously building for it because they want to play in these concerted low power pods. Like, hey, that's actually a legitimate environment that Wizards of the Coast has separated, right? That is just about precons. I can build a precon and just play bracket 2. I don't have to build a precon and upgrade here, go into a pod and be like, like, are you guys are 3 and 4? That's kind of like, no. I'm just here for bracket 2 games, or even bracket 1. And even CDH making its own tier. But bracket 4 and bracket 3 are wide chasms. But I feel like even bracket 3 is pretty well defined. I feel like, yes, there are powerful Magic cards out there. There are upper bracket 3 and lower bracket 3 decks. And there are definitely lower bracket 4 and upper bracket 4 decks. I just feel like a large majority of them are probably like mid to high bracket 4. Because once you like head past that slippery slope, you tend to just be there in bracket 4, whereas bracket 3 to me is the wide chasm. But I think just like we have done a better job at defining these in the Commander format. And when it comes to Commander, it's just better than it was before. I think the disingenuity of saying that it's worse now because of brackets is because people's attitudes are bad. These are the pub stompers. These are the liars. These are the people who are just like, oh, I don't want to deal with any change. I don't know what you're talking about. I don't really care about these brackets and something. These are the people who they're like, oh, I'm too tired to care. Like, okay, you drove here, you walked here. Like take 2 seconds. 2 seconds to think about what I'm saying, right? Sometimes these are the worst type of people. They're like, oh, I just want to relax and play a game. Yes, that's what we're doing. Listen to me for 2 seconds. I do have these game changers in there. That's too complicated. All right, whatever. When I stomp you, don't be mad. Because then these are the same people to get mad because you didn't spend 2 seconds listening to me, telling me maybe I should play a lower power deck, or maybe you should be playing a higher power deck because this is the only thing I brought. Or I shouldn't be in this pod at all because this is the game you guys want to play. You guys just don't want to communicate what you're playing. And I think that's all it means. The game changers and bracket system are perfectly fine. It just exposes people's lack of ability or just their inability to communicate and have civil conversation and be open and honest with other people. That's all it is.
You know, this person who's been playing for like 10 years, like no joke, like this guy that I was referring to earlier about making a comment, like I remember I accidentally did something and he literally sniggered and was like, I'm playing with rookies, you know. It was like it was not good. So beginners should be able to not have to experience that. Let's be honest. So another thing is, I just think social kind of mixing should be encouraged. You know, cliquey stuff where people just stay in their groups needs to be discouraged. How you would do that, I don't know. I think it just comes kind of with a culture, right? There needs to be some leading people that are doing it. Like when we went to this other one, it was...
If you want to be with your own play group, stay at the kitchen table. The kitchen table. You come to the LGS, you're coming there with the social contract of interacting with other people. If that's a hot take, crazy. You need to explain that. If that's a hot take, you really better have a good reason to explain that. Unless the only reason I can come up with is if you just didn't have the personal environment. Maybe you everyone's homes doesn't have like the environment for it, or everyone's too far separated and the LGS is in the middle. That's the excuse. And then maybe even in that case, you still should be open and honest with it. Like you should still like just go to a park or something. Like it's just we keep creating these excuses. Like play a couple of games yourself, have that communication. Like, hey, we're just trying to play a couple of games within our pod. But then after that, maybe we're open to having more like switching around the groups and everything. Maybe then we're open to it. Have those conversations again. Speak to people. Like if you give them a reason instead of being like, no, don't play with me. Like, oh, I'm playing with rookies. Like, don't be a loser. Don't be a loser.
So obvious that it was just these few people. They're the same people that come every week. And yeah, if that's your case, right, and you see someone come in that's brand new, you should make a conscious effort to be like, hey man, we're just doing this game now, but as soon as we're done, let's play a game and make sure.
I feel like, again, yes and no to this. Like if you do this, brownie points extra, but they should also be on the LGS owner to create a welcoming environment in the store that they are, you know, in the environment that they're curating, in the business that they're running. It should also be on them to be like, hey, you know, what are you here for? Just like a hello, someone walks in your store. Hey, how are you doing? What can I help with? Like, what are you here for? And then some people are like, oh, I don't need help. All right, screw them. Right. But if they're like, hey, I'm here to play this, I'm here to do that. Like, oh, hey, we have a pod going over there. Let me bring you over. And then bridge that conversation. If people are socially awkward, bridge that conversation. You're the business owner. You want business. You want mans in seats, right? Bridge the conversation. Be welcoming. Give a reason for people to be here. And again, like it could be a little bit is on the players, I think a big portion of it is on the LGS owners as well.
That they are getting a good first experience, because that is so important, right? Because that is going to dictate whether that person comes back again, whether you're going to have someone else in your community and someone else that maybe even a new friend, you know? Hygiene and etiquette reminders. Guys, this should just be in every LGS. It should, because it's a problem, let's be honest, in most LGSs, right? There should be signs or something.
Like TCG Simulator be telling you to stock up friggin' Febreze on the shelves because mans be smelling. Why? Why do these people get attracted to these hobbies? Why? And look, you know what? It's everywhere. Like, you know, you go to that office environment, you're working in a cubicle, and that person next to your cubicle believes in showering at like in the afternoon. In the evening. That's the worst type of person. They don't even shower before bed. They don't shower before coming to work. They shower after. Yeah, like you should be showering twice at that point. Like, I don't know. Like, I'm a shower twice type of person. If I go into work, like shower before you go and shower after, or like at least like, I don't know, like shower before you go to bed, like clean off the gunk, go to bed, like shower before you go to bed, then your bed's clean, then you can wake up, you could do your thing, or shower before you go to work and at least just shower after you come home from work. Like, you know what I mean? Like, there's rules to this, right? Like, just Lord, I don't know. I feel like it's a thing with like people of color too. Like, I feel like in the vast majority of time, like every time I be on TikTok, for some reason, it's the people of color screaming about how like when they grew up, like their parents were beating into them, you need to be clean. Is that just a POC experience? Like me, when I grew up, my parents were yelling at me to be clean. You came home, you smell, don't talk to me. You can't eat until you shower. You can't sleep until you shower. You can't go out. You can't do this before you wash your hair. Like, you know what I mean? Like, is that just like only a brown person thing? Is that only a person of color thing? Is that only a whatever experience? Like, why is this not a universal experience? Where in the human condition did we lose the idea of showering and being clean? Like, I don't know.
But I don't think this is going to necessarily fix the problem. I think a lot of this is a culture issue.
I should also say, like, I guess I made that kind of racial. I mostly meant that to be like in my personal South Asian experience. I guess I was saying like POC, and then that's like kind of white versus POC. Like, this isn't really a racist thing. I was really just trying to highlight, like, in my personal South Asian experience, like, is it just something that gets lost in translation in other cultures where like we don't shower? Like I grew up in a household, again, coming from a relatively dirty country, because the rep of brown people, especially in Canada right now, is at an all-time low. Like, did we just lose the ability to shower? Like, I don't know. I just came home. Maybe I grew up in a different household.
Like, if people come into this space and they feel like it's acceptable for them to do so, then they will. So I think this really comes down to owners, right? Like, I feel like LGS owners need to be like, hey, pull them aside and be like, look, it's a difficult conversation. I understand it. How do you pull someone aside?
But you're a business owner.
They smell, you know,
right? Like,
it's uncomfortable. But I just think if you're an LGS owner, it's just something you need to come to terms with. Like, it needs to be done. As players, me personally, I'm not playing with someone that I can smell their asshole. You know, like, I'm not playing with that person.
I mean, facts.
I will make some sort of excuse.
Facts.
Maybe I'd even be honest and be like, sorry, but something really stinks around here.
Yo, I'd call him out. Or I'd just go to the, if I was uncomfortable,
right?
I would just go to
in some cases, I feel like I'd be directly
go to the LGS
honest,
owner.
but in other cases, maybe I wouldn't. Maybe I'd just be like, I would just take note, and I'm like, I'm not playing with this person ever again. And then if that continues, then that person will maybe get the hint, but he might just think that no one wants to play with him. So I think someone needs to say it, right? And these people probably don't have people in their lives that are pointing these out. So yeah. I don't know. It's a complicated issue. This video isn't necessarily me coming up with all the solutions. It's just a discussion. Maybe you guys have some better ideas in the comments. So another thing as well is I just think in general, LGSs are just, a lot of the time they have this culture, right? And it all starts because it's like an echo chamber, right? So if the first people that come into this LGS are like this way inclined, and they fit these negative stereotypes, it means that they're the founding people. The only people that stay are people that fit into that mold, and that's how you create this culture. So the only way to break that is to start a new group where the founding people are not even into this negative stereotype, so that when new people come in, it's more likely that people that are feel more comfortable with like that initial group is going to expand, and that play base is going to grow with more people like that. So if you're watching this video and you feel like you don't fit into this negative stereotype and you're quite passionate about this issue, maybe you try host an event in your area, specifically away from LGSs, right? I think Magic should be played out of LGSs because, again, that culture is there. I think it's very hard to fix.
I feel like this is tough to do. I don't know about this. I think we should be supporting LGSs. We should be supporting the businesses that are dedicating their time to do this. I think LGS culture is a multifaceted issue. I don't think that means we stop supporting LGSs or moving events away from LGSs necessarily. There are situations and places where Magic can exist outside of LGSs. That's fine. I just feel like the statement is kind of just like, we should stop supporting LGSs. Let's be careful.
Just hosting a little, maybe like a meetup group, you know, whether it is in a board game caf. I really like board game cafes because they're still like nerdy, but they're not too much. You know, you get.
But it's like, yo, board game cafes are like something different. Some board game players, they're like just the same as Magic players. They're like the min-maxers. They're the like, actually, like, and they sit there, or they'll sit there for like 50 minutes doing a turn. Like, we're just, fam, we're playing Santorini. Build the level or move. Like, you know what I mean? We're just playing a very simple game, right? Like Machi Koro, or like, I don't know, King of Tokyo, like something that just rolls dice, and they're acting like we're in like terraforming Mars with like 6 expansions. Like what are you thinking about right now? You know, like board game players are something else too.
Normal people there, people that are just there on dates. You know, it's nice. It's nice. So why not? Maybe, I mean, I've even been thinking, I've got one near me, doesn't have a Magic community. I might start one. Who knows? So yeah, you got.
I'm interested. I mean, there's only a couple minutes left. They didn't really address their sister after the fact. I'm curious what their sister's opinion was of this, because this was a new LGS near them or something like that. I'm curious what they, because kind of hearing his thoughts. What his sister
bars
thought.
And stuff like that as well that you could play at. I think just taking it out of the LGS is probably a good idea. Just normalize it a little bit, instead of it being like you have to go to this specific nerd sanctuary.
Well, okay, again, I think this is just like the don't support thing. Like everyone, you go to specific places for specific things. You go to the beach for lounging or sand, or like you go to a bar for drinks, and I guess, I don't know, and I guess you can, like a bar has a certain environment. A Walmart has a certain environment. Like your friend's basement has a certain environment. Like you go to these places for concerted activities. I don't know if we need to remove this from the LGS.
Order to play this game. Ultimately, the best way to make a change is to be the example, right? So just show people that Magic the Gathering is not just filled with these negative stereotypes. Be everything but the negative stereotype, right?
Correct.
So you can show people, and you know,
be the change you want to see in people.
And then when people hear that you play Magic, if they see that you don't fit that negative stereotype, you are one more contribution to dispelling that myth. Because
like, look, let me tell you, as a South Asian man, the amount of brown people that I do not see play this game is surprising to me. I see, like, I feel like I see, like, I don't know, maybe it's just in Toronto where I'm at. There are South Asian people that do interact with Magic, with TCGs in general. I've met them. They're cool people. I just feel like I don't come across many South Asian people that play it. Like, even in the Magic creator space, the ones I've personally interacted with, and again, there could be more, are, oh my God. I'm forgetting their names right now. I'm forgetting everyone's names right now. Okay, you know what? I'm just not going to go down the track, because then I'm going to misspeak on someone. I'm just going to say there aren't too many brown people playing it. So I love to be this creator that pushes. It's one of my primary drivers. I want to be that person that shows that, like, hey, this is a cool thing for brown people. It's a cool thing for people of color. It's not just a white dominated space or anything like that. It's not some expensive hobby that's being held back. Well, it is a bit of an expensive hobby, but there's ways to play it. And I want to be a part of that. I want to be a part of pushing.
It is a myth. Not every Magic the Gathering player is that negative stereotype, but that stereotype comes from somewhere, and it is a very, very real problem. If you don't believe that, go to a Magicon. You will find out very quickly. Now, guys, if you like this sort of discussion video, then why don't you go check out my Why I'm Going All In on Tarkir Dragonstorm video.
Okay. That's an interesting topic. I think I'll leave a comment here just on my general thoughts. I wasn't too much of a fan of the discussion around shifting away from LGSs, but I think more spaces should have more spaces should have the ability to be welcoming to MTG. So fair. All in all, I agree with the ending statement of be the change you want to see. There you go. Leave a comment on the video. Gotta help his time in the But Jack, if you know Jack Talks Magic, I'm assuming your name is Jack. great video overall. I think some of the larger points are there. I think we're missing some context, but honestly, the video is fine. I'm the one that yapped on and turned this into like an hour-long video. But regardless, let me know what you think in the comment section down below. Leave a like on Jack's video. It's going to be linked down below. Let it run in the background so that it gets its time in the algorithm as well. And honestly, in general, I think some of the larger points are there. I think Magic players do have a problem with them, but I think there is a portion of the Magic community that is better in general. And I feel like I've come across the majority of my interactions are with those type of people, but just being a creator and also being in a bigger city, I have a biased view and of course, spread of the amount of interactions that I can have. Maybe people in general are interacting better with me because I'm a creator. Maybe again, just being in a bigger city, I have a bigger sample size to work with and a larger variety. So it could be that as well. So let me know what you think in the comment section down below. What have your negative experiences with LGSs and playing with other Magic players been? And I don't know, give me some of your horror stories with your Magic play experience.